Rachel Voss sent us this account in February. She didn't ask us to hide her name. She said, "I want the full name. If something happens to me, I want people to know who I was." We asked her what she meant by "if something happens." She didn't answer that. We did independent verification on everything she mentions. The specialists she contacted, we confirmed them. The house records, we pulled them. The Morrisons were harder to track down. We'll come back to that. This is her account, word for word. On November 14th at 6:51 in the morning, I found my kitchen drawer on fire from the inside. Not the outside, the inside. The drawer was closed. My name is Rachel Voss. I'm 34 years old. I've worked in insurance accounting for 9 years. My entire job is verifying things, numbers, dates, facts. I don't accept anything without a source. I've told that to everyone I've shared this with. Their response is always almost identical. "Then you're the last person who would make this up." Yes, exactly. My memory through the first month is precise. I kept written logs. What happened the night I went into the basement the third time, I'll reconstruct as accurately as I can. That's the only place my certainty breaks down. The house is in Sellwood, southeast Portland, built in 1923. I've been there 2 years and 4 months. Old gas lines, cast iron pipes, hardwood floors with specific creaks I've memorized by location. 4 steps from the bottom of the staircase. The spot just outside the bathroom door. The left side of the kitchen threshold, only when the temperature drops. I know this house the way you know something you've lived inside long enough that it stops announcing itself. 3 things I need to mention now because they become important later. The hallway between the kitchen and the back of the house runs warmer than the rest of the building. I'd always assumed it was the pipe configuration. There is a basement, 1 room, concrete floor, exposed beams, single bulb on a pull chain. I use it for storage. I go down maybe twice a month, and I kept logs. Starting from the second incident, I logged everything. Date, time, location, temperature reading, description. I have 31 entries. I brought the logs. I'll refer to them when the dates matter. November 14th, 6:51 a.m. The smell woke me up. Not smoke exactly. Something older, hot metal, and something underneath it I couldn't name. I came downstairs and the smell was strongest near the stove. I opened the drawer directly below the left burner, the one I keep dish towels and oven mitts in, and the contents were burning, smoldering at the back. The towel on top had a hole through the center the size of a fist. The edges were still orange. Old gas line, slow leak, pilot light inconsistency. These things happen in houses this age. I'd read about it. I called the gas company that morning. A technician named Greg came within 2 hours. He checked every line, every connection, every valve. He said, "Everything's within normal range." He said, "Could have been a grease buildup in the drawer cavity catching residual heat from the burner." I said, "Okay." That afternoon, I emptied the drawer completely and examined it. The burn pattern was at the back left corner, roughly circular, about 5 inches across. The left burner is at the front right of the stove. The geometry didn't work. I wrote that in the log. Entry 1. Burn origin does not align with heat source. Circular pattern. No accelerant visible. I bought a digital thermometer the next day. Started taking readings every morning and evening throughout the house. By day 4, I had enough data to see it clearly. The rest of the house ran between 64 and 68 degrees. The hallway near the basement door consistently read between 71 and 74. The boiler is in the basement. Hot air rises through old ductwork. The hallway positioning above the boiler room would naturally run warmer. I called an HVAC contractor. He confirmed. Not unusual in houses this age with original duct systems. He also said something I didn't ask him about. He'd been down in the basement checking the boiler, and when he came back up, he stood in the hallway for a moment. He said, "How long has it smelled like that down there?" I said, "Like what?" He said, "Like something's been running hot for a long time. Not the boiler. Something else." He couldn't identify it. He said he'd smelled it once before in an old building in Milwaukee. He didn't say what the building was. He didn't say what had caused the smell there. He didn't charge me for the visit. I wrote that in the log. Entry 7. I started looking into the house's history. Previous owners, the Morrison family, owned the property from 2011 to 2019, left 8 years ago. I found a post on a Southeast Portland neighborhood forum from October 2018, posted under the name K. Morrison. Has anyone else had recurring small fires in an older Sellwood home? Gas company has checked everything twice. Fires keep happening. Starting to feel like something's wrong with the house itself. 7 replies. All practical suggestions, appliance checks, electrical panels, chimney inspections. K. Morrison replied once, "We've done all of those. It's not any of those things." Then nothing. Someone else had the same problem with the same old infrastructure. Confirms the house has a systemic issue, not supernatural, structural. I found a phone number connected to a K. Morrison at the Sellwood address through an old utility record. I called it. A woman answered. I told her I lived in her old house and was having some issues. There was a pause. She said, "What kind of issues?" Not a question, a statement. I told her about the drawer, the temperature readings, the smell. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Do not go into the basement after dark." I asked her why. She said, "I know how that sounds. I know." Then she said, "We left because of what my husband saw down there. He won't talk about it. He hasn't talked about it in 5 years. Don't call this number again." She hung up. I sat with the phone in my hand for a while. Then I wrote it in the log. Entry 11. I went into the basement. Daytime, 11:20 a.m. Full light through the ground level window. I brought a flashlight even though the pull chain bulb works fine. I told myself, I'm going to look at the boiler, look at the floor, look at the walls, and find a rational source for the smell. Old boilers accumulate mineral deposits that produce metallic odors when heated. Organic material, mold, old wood, decomposes differently in sustained heat. Both would explain what the HVAC contractor and I had been smelling. The smell was stronger at the bottom of the stairs. Not overwhelming, but present in a way that felt directional, like it was coming from somewhere specific rather than filling the space generally. I checked the boiler, nothing unusual. I checked the walls, no visible mold, no water damage. I checked the floor. In the far left corner, the concrete was a different color, not stained, not damaged, just different. Darker, in a rough circle maybe 4 feet across, like the concrete had been exposed to something sustained over a long period of time. I took a photo. I touched the edge of the circle with 2 fingers. The concrete was warm, not the ambient warm of a basement near a boiler, specifically warm, in that spot. I went back upstairs. I sent the photo to a geology contact I have from a work case. He said, "Could be thermal discoloration from below. Are there any old industrial features under that property?" I looked it up. The Sellwood neighborhood had an active tannery operating from 1887 to 1931, 2 blocks from my house. Underground runoff channels from that era were never fully mapped. That explained the discoloration. It didn't explain why the concrete was warm to the touch in November. My friend Dana came over on a Saturday in December. We were in the kitchen and she stopped mid-sentence. She said, "Something smells weird." I said, "I know, it comes and goes." She walked toward the hallway. She stood at the entrance to it and just looked down toward the basement door. She said, "It's warmer here." I'd told myself so many times it was the pipes that I almost said it automatically. She turned to me and said, "Rachel, something feels wrong in this house." Not scared. Dana doesn't scare easily. She said it the way she'd say, "Something's off about this contract," or "I don't trust this number." Observational. I showed her the log, all 11 entries. She read through them. When she finished, she said, "You need a camera." Then she said, "And you need to not be here alone." She offered to come back the following weekend and go into the basement with me. I said yes. I should have said no. Dana came back the following Saturday. We went in together at 10:40 a.m. I brought the thermometer, a second flashlight for Dana, my phone for photos. The smell hit at the bottom of the stairs. Dana made a sound, not a word, just a sound. She put her hand out and I stopped. She said, "Give me a second." She stood there breathing through her mouth. Then she nodded. We kept going. 2 people, daylight, methodical approach. We were going to find the source and document it. The circle in the corner was larger. I had measured it the first time, 4 feet across. I measured again, 4 feet 8 inches, 7 weeks, 8 inches of expansion. I took the temperature reading at the edge of the circle, 79 degrees. I took the reading at the center. The thermometer read 91 degrees, then 93. Then it stopped updating. Dana was looking at the walls. She said, "Rachel." I looked. On the wall above the circle, the concrete wall, there were marks, vertical lines, evenly spaced, starting about a foot off the ground and going up to maybe 5 feet. Not scratched into the concrete, scorched into it. I counted them. 17 marks, some of them old, faded, gray, some of them darker. 2 of them looked recent. I stood there. Dana was very still next to me. She said, "Something made those." I said, "I know." She said, "From the inside." We went back upstairs. Dana didn't say anything in the kitchen. She sat down at the table. After a few minutes, she said, "I want to come back. I want to set up the camera and I want to come back." I said, "Okay." I wrote everything in the log. Entry 19, the last line. 17 scorch marks on west wall, origin internal. Thermometer malfunction at center of circle. Dana present and witnessed. We set up 2 cameras, one in the hallway facing the basement door, one mounted at the top of the basement stairs, angled down, motion activated, both running continuously from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. We ran them for 9 nights, 9 nights of footage. We expected nothing, or the boiler cycling on and causing thermal shifts the thermometer would catch. Nights 1 through 4, nothing. Night 5, the staircase camera recorded something at 2:44 a.m. Not movement, not a figure, light. The basement has 1 bulb on a pull chain. I had left it off. At 2:44 a.m., there was light in the basement. Not the bulb. The bulb is ceiling mounted, center of the room. This light was coming from the corner, from the circle, dim, amber orange, constant. It stayed on for 11 minutes, then it went out. The hallway camera shows the gap under the basement door during those 11 minutes. The light visible under the door matches. I sent both files to a photographer I know professionally. I asked her, any technical explanation? Lens artifact? Reflection from outside? She watched them twice. She said, the light source is internal and physical. This is not a lens artifact. She said, whatever is producing that light is in the room. She said one more thing. Rachel, there's something else. She sent me a still frame from the staircase camera. Night 7. No light event that night. 3:17 a.m. The basement is dark, but in the corner, in the circle, the darkness is a different density. Not a shape, not a figure, a concentration. The kind of thing where your eye keeps going back to it, and you can't explain why. She said, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's anything. She said, but I wouldn't go back in there. Dana called me on a Tuesday night. She said she hadn't been sleeping well since the second descent. She said she kept smelling it, not in her apartment, in her sleep. She said, I think I need to go back. I think if I go back in the daytime and just stand there for a few minutes, I can get it out of my head. I said I didn't think that was a good idea. She said, I know, I'm going anyway. She came over on a Wednesday, 2 p.m., full daylight. We went down together. The circle was larger again. I didn't measure it. I should have. I didn't. Dana walked directly to the wall with the marks. She stood in front of them. She raised her hand and traced one of the recent ones with her finger, not touching it, hovering an inch away. She said, these are regular, like something does this the same way every time. Then she stopped. She lowered her hand. She said, it's looking at us. I said, what? She didn't answer. She turned around slowly and faced the center of the room, faced the circle. She stood there. I said, Dana. She didn't respond. Her face was processing something, like a signal coming in on a frequency she was only partially receiving. I touched her arm. She flinched like I'd burned her. She looked at me and said, we need to go upstairs right now. We went upstairs. In the kitchen, she sat down and put both hands flat on the table. She said, something looked at me. I said, you didn't see anything. She said, I know I didn't see anything. She said, that's not what I said. She left 20 minutes later. She texted me that night at 11:30. My hands are warm, both of them, since I got home. It's been 8 hours. I read the text 4 times. Then I called her. She picked up on the first ring. I said, how warm? She said, hot. I said, are you okay? She said, I don't know yet. She called me the next morning. She said she was fine. The warmth was gone. She'd slept and it was gone. She said, don't go back down there alone. Then she said, actually, don't go back down there at all. I waited 4 days. Then I went down alone. At 2 a.m. I don't know why 2 a.m. I just know that's when I went. The bulb was off. I didn't pull the chain. I stood at the bottom of the stairs in the dark with my phone light. The circle was giving off its own light. Faint, amber, pulsing very slowly, like breathing. I stood there, and I understood something that I'm not able to fully explain. It knew I was there. Not because it reacted, because it didn't. The way a person can be in a room with you and know you're there without turning around. The complete, total stillness of something that is aware and choosing not to move. I stood there for, I don't know. My phone log says I went downstairs at 2:11 a.m. My phone log says I sent Dana a text at 2:58 a.m. I have no memory of 47 minutes. The text I sent Dana said, "Still here, it let me." I don't know what I meant by that. I don't remember writing it. We spoke to Dana independently. She confirmed the account Rachel gave. The warmth in her hands, the 8 hours, the sensation in the basement she described as being looked at by something that doesn't have eyes. We asked her how she felt now. She said, "Fine, I think, mostly fine." She said, "Ask me again in a year." We asked Rachel about the 47 minutes she can't account for. She said she's thought about it every day since. She said, "The most frightening possibility isn't that something happened during those 47 minutes. The most frightening possibility is that nothing did. That I was just standing there for 47 minutes in the dark, and it felt like nothing." We found the Morrisons, not Kay Morrison, her husband, Thomas Morrison. He agreed to a brief phone call. We asked him about the basement. There was a long silence. Then he said, "Did she see it?" We said we weren't sure what he meant. He said, "The circle. Did it get bigger while she was there?" We said yes. He said, "Then it knows she's there." We asked him what he saw down there in 2019. He said, "I saw it look at me." We asked him what it looked like. He said, "That's the thing. There was nothing there, but something looked at me." We asked if he had any advice for Rachel. He said, We left and it didn't follow us. At least I don't think it did." He ended the call. I have 41 log entries now. The circle is approximately 6 feet across. I measured it last week. I haven't been back down since the night of the 47 minutes. The cameras are still running. Every night between 2 and 3 a.m., the light comes from the circle. Every night. Regular. The amber light under the basement door has become, I don't know how to say this, familiar. I check it the way I check that my front door is locked. If it's there, I know where it is. The night it isn't there, I don't know what I'll do. Dana is fine, she says. She came over once more 2 months ago. She didn't go downstairs. She sat in the kitchen and drank coffee and didn't look toward the hallway. Before she left, she said, "Have you thought about leaving?" I said yes. She said, "Why haven't you?" I've been thinking about how to answer that since November. The honest answer is this. Thomas Morrison said they left and it didn't follow them. He doesn't think. Those 2 words. I've lived in 4 apartments and 2 houses since I was 22. I don't know what this thing is. I don't know how long it's been in that basement. The scorch marks on the wall suggest years. The old ones suggest decades. I don't know if it's dangerous. Dana's hands were warm for 8 hours and then they weren't. I lost 47 minutes and then I didn't. I don't know if those things matter. What I know is this. Here, I know where it is. Every night at 2 a.m. the light is under the door and I know, if I leave, I don't know where it is. I'm not sure I can explain why that's worse. I'm not sure I can explain a lot of things. I just needed someone outside of Dana and myself to know. That's all. That's why I'm telling you. Rachel sent us an update 3 weeks after this recording. She said the scorch marks on the wall had changed, not more of them. The existing ones had rearranged. She said she knew that wasn't possible. Scorched concrete doesn't rearrange. She sent us 2 photos, one from her log in December, one from 3 weeks ago. We looked at them for a long time. The marks are in different positions. We don't have an explanation for that. We sent them to a materials analyst. She said, "These aren't the same marks. Either the photos are mislabeled or..." She didn't finish the sentence. We asked Rachel if she wanted us to investigate further. She said, "No." Then she said, "Actually, don't. Not yet. I don't want it to know more people are paying attention."